Hello, and welcome to the Real Inspired Mama podcast, where real moms have real conversations about real life. I'm your host, Kayla,
And I'm your host, Kenya.
and today we are bringing in a new little element, calling it Wine Wednesday. So take this time to grab your wine, grab yourself a drink, cheers, and join us as we dive into today's episode. So, we are talking about navigating friendships as an adult.
Definitely don't
Yeah.
want to miss this.
Something that I think maybe, we can all relate to. Um, Golly, it's one of those things. It's like, I think you and I are the same, Kenya. We naturally have good intentions, just enjoy other people's happiness, like excited for other people, that kind of thing. And I feel like I've noticed since I've been, an adult, and mostly in the last like 5, 6, 7 years, not everybody is like that.
Absolutely. I can 100% relate. And it could be something just as small as hosting. I remember in Washington, you would host, no problem. You would
Yeah.
plan, no problem. You would set, even little dates, like a little trail walk or whatever, and you're like, "Okay, we're gonna do this," and you would plan it, and we'd be there, and I think that's so natural even for me, like, "Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
we could" even just this past 4th of July, I hosted, um, I try to get friends together and just make sure everybody's having a good time, enjoying company because I think we see the value in community.
for sure. For sure. That's so good, right? And I think the community is so important as we're adults, as we're moms, as we're wives, as we're all of these roles that we have. But damn, it's hard. It's even harder as, we have all of these roles because you really have to be careful, like with people's intentions and learning, right? I had to learn that not everybody is like that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And one thing that you said is intentional. And I think that is a huge, maybe even a red flag. Like, we're busy, we're all busy, but you make time for what is important. And for a part of my life, friendships was huge. Friendships were important to me. And I really wanted to build this community. I wanted to build this friendship, this friend group. So I'd make time. I would make time. I'm like, okay, I'm not doing anything this even Thursday night. Let me text somebody and set something up. I'm not doing anything. Okay, this Monday morning, I'll be available or whatever it is. I made time. And if I had even just a little bit of time in my schedule outside of being a wife, working full time, being a mom, having a
Yeah.
house to clean, having food to cook. I made time, because I know it's valuable to make friends. It takes a village,
Yeah,
mental health,
for sure.
friends for your
For sure.
kids. The list goes on. So,
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's probably like the biggest piece of this. It's like we have so much going on that, like, when we are able to carve out that time for friends, it truly has to be bringing value into our lives, as women in general, as moms and all of the things. So definitely feel like that's a huge part of where I have kind of realized, like, not everybody deserves that time, right? These friendships that I once thought, okay, yes, it's equal, it's positive, it's this and it's that are all these things that I like. It's fun, right? Like all of these things, like we have to really be mindful, and that can be kind of be exhausting because we want to be able to see the good in everybody, but just in a time right now where, right, social media, all these influences and things that can kind of shine negativity, right? Like I think that that's something that we have to kind of navigate through, and it can be hard sometimes.
yeah, and you said being careful with yes, you're carving out that time for this particular friendship, but making sure that they're adding value to your life. So essentially, you're not wasting your time. And I think for me, this was something that I realized, of course, with the help of my lovely husband, um, is exactly what you said. Not everybody has those good intentions. Not everybody's willing to do what you're willing to do in the friendship. And recognizing that is important. I guess I'm curious, is there a situation that you might have went through that you're willing to share
Oh
in regards
yeah.
to recognizing
Yeah.
the friends that
Let
you
me
should
take
not
it
be friends
further.
with?
I go into that
Right.
tea,
Let's
girl.
yes, let's do it.
So for sure, I've always been one to have a lot of friends, and the older I've gotten, the more I've realized how dangerous that can be. Because if you're just befriending all of these people and thinking that, oh, they have good intentions just like me, that is where you're opening up that door for things that are not meant for you.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so, yeah, I'm thinking in particular about a friendship that I had to like let go, girl. It was like a real friendship breakup. And it's so hard when the friendship is so old, like you've been friends for so long. So this particular friend, we have been friends for like, God, 14, 15 years, something like that. And I just kind of started to notice this is draining, right?
Mm,
Like that is was a red flag for me. It's like, okay, this is draining me more than it's filling me.
mm.
Have you ever experienced that?
Yes. So you are speaking, girl, because when you said you've had a lot of friends and you're realizing that maybe that's not what matters, is because there was a time in my life, even as recent as a year, that I wanted to befriend all of these ladies. I naturally like, okay, let's do friend groups. Let's me make this friend group. When we were in Arizona, I made a friend group and I wanted to do happy hours, plan girls trips and kind of create this community of friends essentially that I've known we could be together. And I realized that exactly what you said, even though there's quantity, there's plenty of us. The
Right.
quality of friendships in regards to authenticity, getting to know each other on a deeper level, it's not there. And I think obviously time brings that.
Sure.
But yeah, I could definitely relate in regards to reevaluating friendships based off of the level of energy they either give you or take from you.
From you. That part for sure. And so, yeah, in this situation, I found myself like having to like defend or explain or trying to help this person, right? Like through their battles and their things that they were going through. And it was just not receptive. And it's like, okay, you can't help somebody that doesn't want to be helped, or you can't pour into somebody who is, so draining. And it was hard because I really had to, like, okay, this is not meshing anymore. After all of this time, it's time for me to walk away.
Yeah, you said something huge. Helping somebody that doesn't want help is huge. One thing I realized in a friendship within the past 10 years that you cannot help anybody until they're ready to make that move themselves. And that was challenging because you love your friends. You want
Right.
to see them thriving. You want to see the best for them in their lives. And you're giving advice, but I realized that advice doesn't matter essentially
For
until they're
sure.
ready. So I think for me in those types of friendships, I've learned to just listen
That's good.
because I could be like, girl, you shouldn't be doing that. Girl, don't be doing that. And essentially it gets nowhere. So in those
Right.
types of friendships, I've learned to listen and kind of just be like, you're grown, essentially.
Right.
In regards to a relationship that drains you, I feel like I recently learned to recognize when I'm being drained. So now I'm able to make that switch of cutting somebody off sooner, for one, and more easily. Because I'm like, "Okay," I feel like every time I feel like when I'm with a friend, I should leave filled up, essentially, and some friends I am. Absolutely, we had a great time. But this one particular friend, I feel like we would hang out, and I would feel drained. Like, and then I would like, take our conversation, and I'm thinking about it for a week because of, like, what you said, the challenges that she would bring me. Like,
Right.
challenge me on, like, things that really weren't even needed to be challenged on. I was already firm in what I, knew for myself, but yet
Right.
you're challenging me. So and I'm like, "Wow," and I'm thinking about that 3 days, 4 days into my week, and I'm like, "Okay, that's draining me. That's taking my energy."
So true.
You
That
know
is
what I
so
mean?
true. That's exactly what happened. They
Okay,
were
yeah.
challenging these situations that we were in. I would say this, and then it was like kind of like, well, combative or argumentative or
Combative.
whatever. And I'm like, I'm trying to help you. Like, where is this energy coming from? Like, I just didn't understand. And so that was when I kind of realized, like, you know what? I have to walk away from this. And like you said, it's not easy. And I've also recently learned more so because our time is so much more valuable these days. It's okay to flip that switch and it's okay to let that go and wish them well, right? That's one thing about it, girl. I'm never gonna like talk about somebody or like they're this and they're that. Absolutely not. You know what? I'm grown. The friendship wasn't working anymore. It wasn't meshing anymore. Wish them well and from afar, love them from afar. Way, way far. Don't call me, don't text me, don't nothing.
That's so funny because, yes, I agree. I like that, closure. I guess I have a quick question. Did you communicate the closure or did you kinda just within yourself?
It was within myself, but the last interaction that we had was not pleasant.
Okay.
It was not pleasant. So it was kind of one of those things. It wasn't this name calling and like argument and fighting. It was just realizing everything that I'm saying to you, you're taking it in a way that it's not meant. I never said those things, but the way that last conversation happened, it was very obvious.
Y'all were done.
We were done. Yeah. So no, I never communicated it. Just kind of let it fade out, let it fade away. So
That makes sense. So, I guess one thing that stood out to me was you were friends 14 years. So that sounds like a lot harder to essentially cut off.
right,
For me, as y'all heard from my episode, I didn't have a lot of friends growing up. So I didn't have these deep-rooted, long tenured connections with ladies.
right.
So my friendships were pretty or are or were pretty new, from, like, here to Arizona. Um, so in regards to, like, cutting off, I don't think it's as hard for
Yeah,
me
it was
because
probably
because it's
easier.
so fresh and it's so
Right.
new. It's like, I didn't really know you that well anyway, you know?
Yeah, no, for sure. For sure. Speaking of, oh, girl, you want to hear something crazy of a friend that I met in my adulthood, and then it turned out to be like jaw dropping. Let me tell you about that.
Yes, 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 yes. Go off.
So I met this friend at one of my old jobs. Right, we were grown. I had already had Abby. She was awesome. She was so sweet, reciprocated, right? I'm such a
Mm,
giver. I'm such a, I got you. Yeah, yeah, I got you, girl. Like, I'll pay for your drink. I'll pay for your food. Like, don't worry about
right.
it. Like, such a giver. It's so
Yes.
natural. She was the same way.
Okay,
She
good.
was the same way, like always looking out for me, sometimes even going out of her way. There was this one time my two little babies got sick, Jordan and Junior. Junior was like 4 or 5 months old at the time, right? And so they had ended up having to get breathing treatment for I
Mm,
can't remember exactly what they had, but it was like we had to use the little machine, the albuterol, all of that.
nebula,
One of
yep.
her kids had asthma, and the pharmacy didn't give us the little piece that's for babies. They gave us like the adult piece. And so she's like, I can't believe they, girl, don't worry about it. I got you. I'll bring it over. She lived like 45 minutes away, almost an hour away. I got you. I'll bring it over. I'm like, okay, cool. She brings it to me. I mean, just things like that. Like, all the time, just really going out of her way. Okay. she also fixed credit, right? So in this conversation we're having, I'm explaining to her about, this credit thing that I had going on. And she's like, girl, let me help you. Like, I got you. Give me your social. Dumb. Girl, yes, jaw drop, right? Okay. And I was like, to get it removed. And I'm like, okay, mind you, by this point, we had already been friends for like 6 years, maybe. Yeah. And so, yeah, we were friends like while I was in Washington, before I went to Washington, like all of that, right? And so I gave her my social thinking like, oh yeah, she's gonna get it, help me get it fixed, help me get it taken off my credit.
Identity theft.
Girl, she called one of my credit cards, pretended to be me, and then added herself as an authorized user, and then overnighted herself a credit card in her name to her address and racked up my credit card.
That's a movie.
Girl,
that don't make no
like
sense.
beyond. Like, you have to realize like the way that made me feel, like it was devastating. I've never had anything like that happen to me from a friend, let alone,
yeah.
So and so yeah. Huh?
She's done.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Like, what do you mean? That was crazy. And it's crazy how I found out, right? Because I'm like, this credit card I had for years. I wasn't even using it. It was just to help my credit, like my score.
Right.
I would pay like I had not used it. I'm not even joking. At this point, I had not used that card in about 3 or 4 years. I call the credit card company and they're like, yes, we see that you overnighted a card to, and they say the name. And no, they asked me, they were like, do you know? And they say her name, right? And I'm like, so like not even thinking down that line, that I'm like,
okay, yeah, I know
like,
her.
What does she have to do with this? Yeah, like, well, yeah, I know her, of course. That's my best friend. All dumb.
That's so
funny. Yeah, girl. It was so crazy. She had overnighted the card to herself, racked up all these bills, and was still smiling in my face.
That's so crazy. So that is very crazy. It sounds like a movie. You need to go on Lifetime. So I guess my question is, because you mentioned that she reciprocated your love. How do we know the difference? Because like I guess I'm at a crossroad in regards to like who's my friend and who's not, in regards to, different things, support, who reaches out,
yes,
who asks to hang out, who initiates first, but that's on a whole nother level. So first of all, we have to be careful with even the nice ones. Oh my gosh. And then I guess we should talk about clear red flags and then some subtle red flags. Because I'm curious. This is for me.
Yeah, for sure. I think the clear red flag in that one is survival. The things that people will do for their survival mode, essentially, right? Like, why did she feel the need to do that? Why did she feel the need to, steal from me? I think that definitely could have been a red flag. Just kind of some lifestyle things, like things that I would notice them, but I'm like, well, that's not affecting me. It doesn't bother me any. Like, that's her business type of thing. And so, yeah, definitely those kinds of flags. And then more subtle, girl, well, this one probably just another red flag in general. She would always say, like, I don't have any friends. I don't have any friends. Watch out for the people who are proud that they don't have any friends.
Not proud. So I guess one thing that I noticed, because I've moved a couple times.
Yeah.
And I've been, in new states a couple times. And I guess something that I do notice is like recently is like, oh, you've been in wherever for this long and you don't have a friend group. But I guess I'm hesitant to, I don't know, disclaim, I guess, because there's a time where I was in Washington 26 years and I didn't have a friend group. And I recognize why, and I recognize where that came from, and I totally acknowledge that. So I guess I'm gracious in regards to that, because I do understand it's hard, and I do understand that after high school, things change. After becoming a mom, things change. Being married, things change. So I guess I'm gracious in regards to not necessarily not having a friend group, but I guess you said something different, being proud that they don't have a friend group.
Right. Yeah,
So
for
I don't think
sure.
I've met anybody that's proud, like, "Oh yeah, girl, I ain't got no friends. You trying to hang out?" Like, girl, calm down.
No, for real. That probably should have been my red flag too, right? But I also met her in a time where I was just kind of like at my most vulnerable, right? We worked together, and
Mm,
this was when I had just became a single mom. So yeah, definitely was like maybe she saw that as an opportunity to pray. I don't know. I couldn't tell you because I don't have that kind of bone in my body. But I do know that those are some of the things when I did reflect was like, wow, yeah, I probably should have caught on to that. Like she doesn't have friends for a reason. Why?
right. That's good. That's good. I'm curious, how do we make friends? What do you look for in a friend?
People that are living the lifestyle and making the choices that I want to be able to make in regards to eating clean, living healthy, being active. And number one, first and foremost, is involvement with your kids, right? Being involved with their kids and kind of hold those same values, spending quality time with their kids together, maybe one on one, just kind of putting in that effort, the same mindset that I have. Because I can tell you when I say those things and I think about those friendships that I did lose, those things were not there. They
Yeah, I
weren't
would
showing up for their kids in a way that I would wanna show up for my kids.
yeah, and I would say one thing that Tyler will even co-sign on this is that I love, like, the way you showed up for your kids, for Abby at that time.
Right.
I think that's important because my criteria for a friend is definitely at minimum being a mom, because at least we could relate to that, and I
Yeah.
do value married moms,
Yeah.
because I think marriage is a whole 'nother level to friendships. I think it's a whole 'nother level of connection.
I will say there are sometimes exceptions to that. She's not a mom at all. She doesn't have kids.
Oh,
But she
okay.
is so sweet. We actually just went to her birthday party this past weekend, and I've loved her since the day that I met her. But going to her birthday party, I took Jordan with me. You know, Jordan's 3, so she's 3 going on 33. Like definitely, can be a lot to handle. And my friend, even though she doesn't have any kids, she went out of her way to kind of like cater and make sure that Jordan was comfortable and made sure that I was comfortable bringing Jordan. We were painting wine glasses. She bought Jordan her own wine glass to paint. So I think even if they're not a mom, there are things that can kind of show up. It doesn't always have to be that. So just throwing that out there.
You're right, because I do have this friend, if you're listening, that she's not a mom, and I met her, she's great, love her, she's so down to earth, she's very relatable, and she adds value to my life even though she's not a mom,
Yes, there you
and
go. That's perfect.
if I'm being fully transparent, I was hesitant because I want mom friends, but she's married, so she checked that box,
Yeah.
and her marriage is great, she's thriving,
Good.
even though she doesn't have kids.
I think it matters, how they're able to show up for you, and kind of be there for you, even though that might not be a criteria that they have.
So, I had this friend, she was great, love her, great vibes, very sweet, you know, really great intentions. She had a
Yeah.
really good heart, and I feel like her situation made it hard for her to fully be the person that she was called to be. Um, be just situational circumstances, but I love her. She's great. I guess, do you have anything that's similar where you had this friend that was great vibes, really there for you in a way that not very many other people were, and it kind
Yeah.
of was situational for her?
Yes, I do. And actually, it had to end, and it was pretty recent, a few months ago, because that's exactly what it was. I had, a friendship that was awesome. The vibes were good. It was a good time. Her intentions were good, right? She meant well. Faith-based woman. I love that she was so vocal about her love for God and so vocal about her faith that she would like pour into me too, right? And I love that because it made that so much stronger for me, right? As far as like my faith. Um, and I feel like
Then what happened?
there were times where the person that she tried so hard to become and like steer away from and grow away from would still show itself. And it would show itself in ways that were disrespectful, disrespectful to me. And that was weird. It was weird. It's like, how can somebody who loves me so much, is such a good friend, so, has such a strong relationship with God, how is it that because of her situation, right? I'm guessing the things that she was going through in that season, she was taking it out on me. And I would kind of feel like the brunt end of it in ways that were weird.
What'd she do to
Just kind of
disrespect you?
very rude. Let's say she was having a bad day, right? Because that's where it would come from. Like she'd be in a bad mood or having a bad day. She was designing something for a friend's birthday, and I'm like, "Are you gonna put the sequins on there like to cover the whole thing?" And she was like, "No." But if you want to do it, you can. I wasn't gonna do it like that. Like, just like, yeah, like, and I was like literally like taken back, like, oh, I was just wondering if that's how you were gonna do it. Little things like that. And okay, people have bad days, right? I get it. You're having a bad day, you're going through a bad day. But this was happening like once every 2 or 3 months.
And you didn't deserve that.
And it was so crazy because I don't normally let people talk to me like that. I'm quick to like, who do you think you're talking to? Or like, don't
Ma'am?
talk to me like that. Right. Like I'm very big on respect. And as far as like setting that boundary. And so it was
Mm.
so hard because she was such a good person. And
Mm.
I was just being so gracious and I would address it, but in a way that was very like, hey, I don't like it when you talk to me like that. I don't know. I was just asking, like, if this or that. And she'd be like, you're right. I'm sorry. Like, girl, my bad. Like, I'm going through it. I'm going through it with this person. I'm so upset about that. Thank you for being gracious with me. And thank you for bringing it to my
Mm.
attention because a lot of people don't do that because this was something that she was experiencing in all of her other friendships too. But instead, they would just stop talking to her. They would just drop her.
I like that. So
And so
I
I
like
was
that.
very gracious with her every time, like the first 4 times it happened, because again, I'm not gonna judge you for having a bad day.
Mm.
But when it became a reoccurring thing and I addressed it the first 3 times and the fourth time and you apologized, and she would even go out of her way and say things like, thank you for extending grace to me. Like, I appreciate that. Like, those are the type of friendships that I need. I need friends that aren't afraid to call me out on my BS but do it in a way that's loving because I am sensitive. And like she would say things like that, right? And so I'd be like, yeah, girl, like I get it. It's fine. I love you. You're so good to me. You're so good to my kids. You're so good to my husband. Like I was always keeping all of these things in mind and just giving her the benefit of the doubt. And it finally got to a point where the last straw was we were working together and she was just like annoyed. And I think that's what would happen. Like she would have these bad days or something that would happen that would kind of like make her be in that mindset for the rest of the day.
Mm.
And this particular day, I was just telling her about something that I was doing, and she was just being real passive aggressive.
I love that you were able to, recognize this isn't healthy for me. She's not adding value. It's time to go. Love
Yeah.
that. I want to share a story
Yeah.
with a friend that I experienced where I was the one that kind of fell short of my due diligence as a friend.
Yeah.
So, there's this friend I had, and I offended her in a way, and I did not intend to. It was not my intentions, and I did not mean to by any means. And I really appreciated that she brought it to my attention for one, and, like, let me know how she felt about it. And I'm not a reoccurring offender like your friend. It was just this
That
one
matters.
time.
That matters.
No, that matters, yeah, because, like, I'm not reoccurring, it wasn't like, oh, every other 2 months, every other week that I was offending her, but there's this one situation where I offended her, and she brought it to my attention, and I appreciated it so much because we need to be able to have friendships where we could communicate when our feelings are hurt, because if it's coming from me, I do not ever intentionally mean to hurt anybody's feelings. I'm sure the same for you.
Right.
And if we do, and if we are coming to a friend or somebody that we love that way, I think it's so healthy and so important to be able to have that vulnerability, to have that connection with a person, to be able to say, "That hurt my feelings." And on return, for me or whoever it is that offended to say, "I am so sorry, that wasn't my intention."
Yeah,
And that to be the end of it, instead of having these long drawn out, "Oh, she's cut off. Don't
yeah.
talk to her." You
And
know,
that's
and
how it went, like, the first 3 times. Like, she was so grateful that I was holding her accountable. And she
yes,
would say it like, "Thank you for holding me accountable. This is what I need."
yes, absolutely, and I just reflect on that person today, and even if we don't talk every day, even if we haven't talked for a year,
Right.
she still shows up, you know? And there are people that I would expect to show up for me that haven't, and there are people that I met even a week ago that show up for this podcast in a way that it's like, "Wow, you're supporting me." It's just the little things. It's like,
Little
okay, it's the good intention and it's the good-heartedness that are in these mom friends that we're trying
yeah,
to create that are valuable, that add value to
for sure.
our
I
life.
agree completely. I think that's the perfect way that you said it, is just like, not everybody's perfect, right? Okay, everybody's gonna have their flaws, but even at the bare minimum, how are you showing up for me as a friend? Because I know what I bring to the table, right? And I know that I'm bringing value. I'm bringing that, encouragement, that effort, that, all of these positive things. And so I get it. If you are a friend of mine and you are going through a season that it's, a tough one, or you're in a low point, that's okay. Like, I will be there for you. But I also need to know that this is not something that is going to hold me back and leave me feeling drained at the same time, right? And that's a hard decision to make as somebody who is so caring for others as well. So,
And I
yeah,
guess that I'm kinda curious your perspective on friends that take advantage of you,
yeah,
and recognizing what that looks like. Because I
yeah,
think it's so easy, well, not for us to take advantage of nobody, because I feel like we're naturally so caring, so intentional with our friendship, with our words. We try to be, no,
right.
we're not perfect by any means, but
Literally.
definitely at the heart, we're trying to look out as much as we can for our friends and the people that we love. And not everybody's like that. So I guess how do we draw that line in regards to people or friendships that you're getting taken advantage of, and cutting that off and being able to discern that that's even happening?
Yeah. So I will say, like, that was not when we had that big argument that day and it kind of spiraled, my intention was not like, I'm done with her. I'm cutting her off. I'm tired of this. Like, I was just like, okay, I need to just take a step back from this friendship. And she ended up texting me like right after it happened. It was like this long paragraph. I'm not even joking. And it was like, "I'm so sorry for belittling you. I'm so sorry for like," and she was using like these words that I didn't even use, which was like, okay, she knew what she was doing. She knew what she was doing. And
Oh.
so I took that time to just like, okay, I'm going to take a step back, and I'm not cutting her off. I still want to keep her because I love her and she is a valuable friend, with these exceptions every now and then. I didn't really have a plan, but let me tell you what happened. What ended up happening is when I took that step back, she proceeded to we have lots of mutual friends. And she proceeded to go to each of these mutual friends and go out of her way to paint herself in a picture of a victim. And so these friends were coming to me like, "Hey, what happened with you and so and so? Like, she said that you just like blew up on her. She has no idea why, and that like, and so I'm like,
First of all,
I didn't. But the crazy thing is that each of these people that were telling me this, as soon as they would say, they were like, it didn't make any sense. They were trying to make sense out of her story, that she was just like, I don't know, I don't know, I don't know, just like didn't know what she had did wrong, didn't know anything. And so that was when I realized, like, okay, I thought we could mend this. I thought we just needed a little bit of time apart. But based off of like literally, I'm telling you, like 5 people that were mutual friends with us that were telling me like, yeah, she's saying this and that she has no idea why you freaked out on her. She has no idea. Tells me everything I need to know. I'm done with this friendship.
so I guess I just wanted to segue a little bit. Obviously, she was very intentional about what she did because she's sitting here lying on you. And I feel like one lesson that I've recently learned was people come into your life for a reason, a season, or a lesson. And I think just based off of our conversation today, that kind of sums up some of the discernment type of opportunities that we've had to be able to really reflect on the friendships that we currently have, that we've had in the past, as an opportunity for growth.
For
And
sure.
as an opportunity to look forward at what types of friendships we should build and what kind of things that we should look in when we're making these friendships.
That's
Yeah.
so good. I love that. Go off, Kenya. Okay, so you said you think you believe that everybody that comes into your life is for a reason.
A reason, a season, or a lesson.
That's good. That's so good. And I'm sure I could
So
pick that apart in all of my,
right.
friendships that are no longer there, whatever the case. But I think that's so valuable. And, I think that that is something that we can walk away from, because that's one less thing that we need to worry about. Like, our friendships should be our escape, they should be our safe place, they should be, a place that we go to get our cups refilled. Because, oh, don't get me wrong, girl, I have plenty of friends who do that, just that. They fill me up, they love me, they support me, they encourage me, they're liking, they're sharing, they're commenting. I mean, so please, like, shout out to all my friends out there. And I know you can say the same thing. Like, shout out to all of our friends out there that are showing up for us and that are, making the friendship a place that I want to be.
So I think that's valuable. We want friendships that add value to our life, people that show up for us. And I really don't want to sound cliche, but honestly, Kayla, like the way you show up for me is like so fulfilling. Like
Yeah.
you encourage me in ways that I need to be encouraged. You challenge me in ways that I need to be challenged. You listen to me. And I think our friendship is really great. And I love how much we talk.
Yes,
Like,
I love that. I love you. And yes, girl, even you, y'all, let me just tell y'all, this wine right here, Kenya is so sweet. We had this, recording plan, and we had said, okay, we're going to do a wine Wednesday. Shout out to Fuller for giving us that idea. And
shout out to
so
Fuller.
we had talked about this like last week. Okay, we're recording on this day. Make sure you have your wine. I'm like, okay, got it. I'm going to have the wine. Like, Fuller's gone. Kenya knows that. So I've been solo momming it the last week. School is starting. I mean, all of these things, I'm like a chicken with my head cut off. I woke up this morning or last night, actually, I'm getting into bed. I'm like, shoot, I forgot my wine. And I got home today from taking Jordan, and there was 2 bottles of wine at my door from a delivery. And Kenya is like, how many miles away? Thousands and thousands of miles all the
Thousands and
way in
thousands.
Georgia. So thank you. I mean, for sure, that's the perfect example of little, you know, she paid attention, she knows, she cares, and she went out of her way to make my life a little bit easier. So I appreciate you too, girl. I love you. I love our friendship. I love where this podcast is taking us. And let's
Yes.
cheers. Let's cheers to that,
Yes.
guys. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. Y'all will be seeing more Wine Wednesdays.
Okay, let me
Tell
help you
us
out.
what else y'all want to see too.
When you cheers, you have to drink. That's what Tyler taught me.
Okay, let's back up. Cheers.
Cheers.
All right,
Yes,
guys.
girl. Yes. Love you
That's
so much.
it.
Thank y'all for watching, tuning in. Hopefully you learned something valuable. Share this video, like, send to somebody that might help, and subscribe to our YouTube channel.
That's right. See you guys next time.
See you next time.
Bye.